Hello, I'm Ewan Johnson. I'm the Chief Creative Officer for Arcturus, the creators of The Way of Kings Escape the Shattered Plains VR experience.
So Ewan, this is based on a book. Talk a little about that story.
Sure. So this is based upon a book by the same title, The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight series by Brandon Sanderson. And it is an epic fantasy series based around numerous characters, but one of the key ones is Kaladin, and he is the hero of the book, and he's going through this epic journey where, as an altruist, he's tried to always do the best for the people around him, and it's always not turned out well. And at the depth of all of the things that have gone wrong with his life and his experience, he is left out to die on the Shattered Plains in one of these high storms, this tremendous, powerful storm that goes through the countryside, devastating everything in its wake. But he survives, and he takes on magical powers as a result of it, of taking in the power of the storm. And so he learns to use these powers to do things like alter the effects of gravity, to do telekinesis, and the combination of this epic world and broad base of characters and environments and magic systems was really appealing to adapt to VR. It was a very natural fit for VR production.
So talk a little about the game itself. It's I want to say it's not an experience, it's an actual game. There's actually gameplay in there.
Yeah. So it's an interesting place. We were trying to really find the balance between narrative and interaction. So we feel that for VR, it is the combination of immersion, interaction, and a sense of presence and being that really creates a unique entertainment medium. And so when we were writing and developing the story, we looked very carefully at those mechanics and how could we bring play into the storytelling and find that line where it felt like a compelling, fun experience to get into and to actually have to fight your way out of, while still having a strong narrative arc.
Most fantasy games are in third-person perspective. This is first-person, and it's in VR. So what are some of the challenges when implementing, that universe into a VR space?
That's a great question. So one of the things that's really unique about VR is that ability to experience the world from your own personal point of view. And we wanted to allow people to explore and discover. That was one of the important things. But then how do you guide? How do you balance that? And that's where really we tried to work very closely with one of the other characters from the book, Syl, who is kind of discovering her own way. She's becoming sentient over the course of the books. And so we realized she could be your guide and balance. And so she functions both as kind of your tutor and your mentor as you go through the experience, and gives you that opportunity, even though it's a first-person experience, to have some explanation about the lore and the world without feeling like it's a lecture. And that was a really important aspect of the development for us, was having this secondary character to help guide you along in the experience.
So talk about your movement in the game, because a lot of people like myself get various motion sickness in VR, but you guys do it's not necessarily teleportation, but your unique movement system I haven't experienced before.
Okay, so VR is challenging for movement in particular. You can get people motion sick if you don't move just correctly. So we tried to, first of all, make it as much of a free roaming experience as possible that people can walk around and explore. But then for the teleportation, you need that to be able to get the really expansive space. And so we worked very closely both with the amount of time it takes you to teleport from one location to the other, and then some subtle visual effects on the side and the processing to kind of minimize the impact of a quick motion transition on motion sickness. And so we feel like we balanced that pretty well. There are certain moments in the game that we knew were going to be magical and really special for VR, specifically the ability to walk up walls.
Yeah, that was it felt very surreal. I didn't get sick, but it felt very natural.
Yeah. I'm glad it felt natural. We worked really hard to give it that feeling. That was an element that when we started to explore the game design and mechanics, we knew that was going to feel special and unique. We actually thought that we should make more of the game around it, but that was an element we found like if there was too much of it, people would get motion sick. And so we kept it to a very special occasion in the game so that you just had that one moment of wonder and exploration.
I feel like you guys are quite a bit ahead of the curve here as far as, implementing a book into a VR experience, because whenever they release like a movie, for example, like Lord of the Rings, the games come years later, you know what I mean? And so does all the fanfare and stuff because it's popular. But now when this book's already out, this experience is going to be out soon. And they're making a live action adaptation of the film too, and you guys have already got a nice piece of fanfare out there.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that we set out really to do in a slightly different mechanic for game and experience tie-ins to movies and books, is rather than release it after the movie as a marketing build, we wanted to start to build the world and the experience for the fans so that they could step into it and experience it. And it's also really unique in that it gave us the opportunity to work closely both with the studio that's developing the film and the author. So we've been able to make sure that from a general kind of design and philosophy of the experience, we're staying true to where the novels are and where they're going for the adaptation. So we think it's going to be a really unique and special opportunity for people.
Where would you like to see VR visual storytelling 5 years from now?
I would love it to be in every headset, every house. I really feel like there's this beautiful combination of narrative and interaction where the gameplay, the motion of the person through the experience is all tied to storytelling. And I think there's a lot more richness and complexity we can add to it. But I'm really excited by where it is today, and I can see that future being very present for everybody.
And when does this game come out, and what platforms will it be on? Platform agnostic, Vive, PSVR, and Oculus?
So we're releasing initially on March 2nd on the Vive, and we're going to follow that up pretty quickly with a Rift, and we're going to start working on a port to PSVR also. We'd like it to be everywhere, but we first want people to start to experience it.
And where can people find more information about your game?
So the best place to go is to go to our website, arcturus.studio. That's ARCTURUS. We have a link to the game page there and more information about it. Brandon Sanderson, the author, has also been posting lots of information on his Facebook page, so you can also see it there or on our Facebook page.
Do you guys have a Twitter too, or?
We do. Our Twitter is ArcturusXR, and that's also our Facebook link.